Thank you. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as usual, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And tonight, I'd like to ask John Borges and Jimmy Rathschmidt and Patty to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, if you would. Everybody please rise and remove your hats. Whenever you guys are ready.
And our heart salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, would you please?
And if we please remain standing for a moment of silence and reflect upon the sacrifices that our servicemen and women make daily, both overseas and domestically, as well as the support of their friends and families that may be going without the presence of their loved ones this holiday season. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you, John. Jimmy, Patty, thank you so much. Okay, once again, this is a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Tuesday, December 13th, 2017, and tonight's Town Board meeting is a work session. For the record, all board members are present with the exception of Councilman Lombardi, who could not be with us this evening as he had a work obligation that he had to attend to this evening. So tonight we have, I'm very honored and pleased to announce that we are going to be presenting two proclamations this evening to three wonderful, wonderful people that reside in the town of Carmel in Mahopac and provide an outstanding service to our veterans. And it's really a great honor, and I know this town board is very honored and privileged to have with us tonight three individuals that will be the recipients of our proclamations in just a moment. But before I go, we go further with that, I just want to speak a little bit about why they're here and what they do for the community as far as their mission and how the veterans of this community and other communities in the area benefit by what is provided by these gentlemen and this woman who reside in our community. One of them is John Borges. John, thank you so much for being here. John was this year's recipient of the Senator Terrence Murphy Veterans Hall of Fame induction ceremony. John was the nominee for the town of Carmel. And the ceremony was held last month down in Mount Kisco. It was a wonderful ceremony. It was well attended, and it was really very moving, and I was pleased to be there for that as well. And John, with all your hard work, dedication, and devotion and commitment to the veterans, both active and retired, it's just an amazing thing that you do for them day in and day out. And I just want to speak a little bit about your mission, if I may. Joseph P. Dwyer Veterans Outreach Program of Putnam County is named in honor of Private First Class Joseph Patrick Dwyer. PFC Dwyer was an Army medic who served in Iraq and subsequently passed away after a long battle with post-traumatic stress disorder. This Veteran Services Project is administered through the New York State Office of Mental Health, locally through the Mental Health Association of Putnam County and the Putnam County Veterans Service Agency. This program has no restriction on discharge status or service dates. Created in honor, the Dwyer program was initially launched in the counties of Suffolk, Jefferson, Saratoga, and Rensselaer, and has since expanded to more than 16 counties in New York State. Since the program started, we have helped over 1,500 veterans from New York State who are battling PTSD or traumatic brain injury, TBI. If you would like to get involved, please contact Putnam County Coordinator John Borges, is the coordinator of that wonderful program. And John, thank you so much for everything that you do for the veterans day in and day out. And we're really honored to have you residing here in our community with your wife, Phyllis Borges, who's the deputy town clerk for the town of Carmel as well. And you have your children here. You have Samantha here and your son-in-law, AJ, with you tonight here also. So thank you so much. So what we're going to do, if we may, John and your family, just come up to the podium here, and we have the proclamation. And I also have proclamations from Senator Murphy that he dropped off here earlier. He couldn't attend tonight's meeting because he had a prior obligation. that he had to be at. So he did drop the proclamations off, and he wanted me to present them to you as well, along with our proclamation. So, Board, if you want to join me up at the podium, we're going to present John with his proclamation. Thanks for being here, John. Congratulations once again. Congratulations, everybody. Yeah. So this is the proclamation from the town of Carmel. John, I'm just going to read it real quick. Whereas John F. Borges is a lifetime resident of Mahopac, New York, as well as a devoted husband and father, and whereas from 1981 to 2001, John F. Borges faithfully served as a member of the New York City Police Department. And I'm proud to say that John and I were in the same academy class in 1981. We both graduated from NYPD at that time. We didn't know each other back when we went through the academy, but I found out John and I were in the same class. And it's a small world. Retiring at the rank of detective second grade, and in 2003, John F. Borges pursued a medical career and was awarded a degree in nursing. And whereas from 2006 to 2014, John F. Borges joined the U.S. Army Reserve and was deployed as part of the U.S. forces under Operation Iraqi Freedom, where he was assigned to the Emergency Medical Treatment Section and courageously served his fellow soldiers. And whereas John F. Borges continues to faithfully serve his community as a Putnam County coroner and an emergency room nurse for the various local hospitals, and proudly serves as the program coordinator for the Joseph P. Dwyer Vet-to-Vet Outreach Program, for which the town of Carmel celebrates John's commitment to the veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel gratefully acknowledges John F. Borges for his service, dedication, and allegiance to the veterans and the residents of the town of Carmel and to the United States of America, and the town of Carmel proudly nominates John F. Borges to the 2017 New York State Senate 40th District Veterans Hall of Fame, and proclaims John F. Borges to be an outstanding citizen and friend, and is hereby awarded this proclamation. Signed, Kenneth Schmidt, Supervisor, Town of Carmel. Congratulations.
Wait until you try to.
Yeah.
Jimmy's trying to.
Yeah. Samantha, did you want to take a picture?
I'll take it with your picture. Thank you.
No, no. Good, Sue?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thanks, John. Oh, you know what? Yeah, John, if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay. All right, next up is Jimmy Rathschmidt and Patty Rathschmidt. And before we bring Jimmy and Patty up to the podium, I'm just going to read their mission, Jimmy and Patty. And their mission is United for the Troops. And I'm sure everyone in this room has heard of United for the Troops and what their mission is and what they provide for the members of our armed services that are deployed overseas, especially this time of year. They're not home for the holidays. They're serving overseas. And what the Rathschmidts and their organization does for our troops is just absolutely amazing. And we're so thrilled and proud to have them as residents of our community as well. And you know, the board felt that way to acknowledge you for what you do and show our support and our appreciation is to have you in here and present you with a proclamation. For over, I think it's 11 years now, Jimmy? Yeah, it's 11 years that they have been providing this service to the community. Now, is Luke here? Luke? Luke, stand up for a minute. This is Luke Rathschmidt. This is Jimmy and Patty's son, and Luke is the reason that they started this United for the Troops, because Luke was deployed overseas in 2007. You were in Iraq, Luke? So Luke was deployed in Iraq, and Mom and Dad felt they needed to provide him with some necessities that he didn't have and that wasn't issued by the military. So that's what started and kicked off this whole program, and it just expanded and evolved from there. Thank you, Luke. So, so I'm just going to read United for the Troops mission. UnitedForTheTroops.org was created by friends and families of our troops serving in the U.S. overseas. Our sole purpose is to make life while at war a little better for our brave men and women serving in the United States military by collecting food, money, and goods that the military does not provide for them. Some of the items include cookies, DVDs, mini flashlights, snacks, T-shirts, and other food items. Through speaking with the troops, the military provides them with the essentials of the day-to-day life, and many of them miss the extra amenities that they receive while at home. Our goal is to show them that we are proud of them and that we appreciate all of their efforts in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other areas of the world being affected by this war. So that's their mission, and it's an amazing, and it's just a wonderful mission that you guys do. And you know, I want to thank you and appreciate everything that you do and continue providing that service. And whatever we can do here in the town of Carmel, in Mahopac Falls, to help you with your mission, we're always, you know, ready and willing and able to do that, to provide that assistance. So without any further ado, Jimmy and Patty, I'm going to have you come up to the podium. And how many of your family members are here? Everybody? Okay. All right, bring them all up. Bring the whole family up. Yes, yes. Hey, guys. How are you? Luke, thank you so much for your service. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to read the proclamation now, guys. Whereas in May of 2007, Luke Rathschmidt, son of James and Patricia Rathschmidt of Mahopac, New York, was deployed overseas to Iraq with the rest of his battalion in the 82nd Airborne Division of the United States Army. And whereas James and Patricia Rathschmidt realized when soldiers are deployed overseas, there are many items that they are not supplied with while they're away from their homes and their families. And whereas James and Patricia Rathschmidt wanted to make sure that the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces who are deployed overseas have the necessary items to make them feel more comfortable and brighten their days, especially during the holidays, and to let them know they are not forgotten. Whereas James and Patricia Rathschmidt founded a nonprofit organization called United for the Troops, which provides care packages that include mini flashlights, DVDs, snacks, T-shirts, and other specialty items, including heartwarming cards and letters from home. They really love that when they open the care packages and see the letters and cards. And letters from home to deployed men and women of the United States Armed Forces. And whereas for the past 10 years, it's actually 11 years, United for the Troops has successfully delivered thousands of care packages to our troops deployed overseas, and today the town of Carmel celebrates James and Patricia Rathschmidt for their kind and generous deeds. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel gratefully acknowledges James and Patricia Rathschmidt for their service and dedication and commitment to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and proclaims James and Patricia Rathschmidt to be outstanding citizens and friends, and is hereby awarded this proclamation. Signed December 13, 2017, Kenneth Schmidt, Supervisor, Town of Carmel. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank
You want to back up?
Can you get everybody in?
Yeah. Everybody look this way.
You want to take one more? Go ahead. I think I was looking down. Go ahead.
This is must be one of those rapid cameras that work.
Got it? All right. Great, thanks so much. I have one other, this is from Senator Murphy, and he wanted me to present this to you tonight as well.
That's really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you again, Patty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. There it is. You're welcome. Thank you.
Proud to be here.
Yes, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. Thank you so much. Tracy, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Oh, thanks, John. Okay, yeah, if you guys want to leave, that's fine. Yeah, everybody's dismissed. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. All right,
Thank you
Rob,
again.
take care.
Have a great holiday.
All right, thank you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks so much again. Yep, bye now. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Luke, take care. You know the Colonel?
Who doesn't know
Good night, John. Thank you. Yep. Night, everybody. Okay. Okay, they were nice ceremonies, really wonderful, thank you. Okay, we're going to get started with the town board work session at this time. And the first item on the agenda is the review of the town board minutes of November 21st, 2017. And the next item, it's Councilman Lupinacci and Councilwoman McDonough. This is to consider a proposal from Virtual Towns and Schools for the revisions and updates to the Town of Carmel website. Susie and John, you want to take it away?
Sure. As you know, a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, I believe it was, we brought in a new website for the Town of Carmel. It allows for push notification technology, a little cleaner website, a little bit more interactive than our former website. This is just now a new iteration of it. It's going to be redesigned. Not a major redesign. The most major redesign that you may not see if you go on a computer, it's going to be more on your smartphone or your mobile devices, that the redesign is really going to be whatever you see on the screen, it's going to be adapted to fit better on mobile devices, because a lot of people are using tablets and or their phones, so it's going to be a little bit more of a unique design for the mobile devices. So that's really it. Every 3 years they try to refresh their website, and this refresh is also going to help with the mobile applications.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great, John. Thank you. Susie, do you have anything to add, or? No. Okay, good. Okay, next item, number 2, Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Controller. Mary Ann is here for 2 and 3. 2 is to consider budget revisions for November 2017. Mary Ann, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. These are the budget revisions to consider for November of 2017. Number 1, in the general fund, we're providing for salary adjustments per authorized resolution. This resolution was passed a couple months ago. I just didn't put the budget revision through yet, but it's transferring $20,000 into 5 salary lines. The supervisor's staff salary line, the controller's salary line, the engineer salary line, and the police chief's salary line. $5,000 was adjusted for those salaries. Number 2, we're providing for a highway admin employee benefit increase. This is due to a partial payout of sick time in the highway admin department. Number 3, we're transferring for interpreting services of $3,000. Number 4, we're transferring for an increase in the cost of Medicare reimbursement. That's a total of $3,800 into various funds for retirees. Number 5, we're transferring $25,000 for labor legal services. Number 6, we're transferring for vehicle repairs and contractual expenses, a total of $7,000 being transferred there. Number 7, we're transferring for office supplies and highway garage expenses. That's a total of $5,000. Number 9, in the general fund, we're transferring for miscellaneous recreation expenses. That's a total of $4,000. Number 10, we're transferring for the cost of the repair to the Veterans Memorial. Thank you. That's a total of $59.51. That's coming from the insurance expense line. In the highway fund, number 12, we're transferring for machinery repair expenses, a total of $20,000 coming from other highway expense lines. On page 2, in Carmel Water District number 2, we're transferring $43,000 for engineering services for the distribution system facility plan. In Carmel Water District number 4, we're providing and transferring for emergency repairs in Water District number 4 for $25,000. In Carmel Water District number 10 and number 13, we're providing and transferring for emergency repairs. In Carmel Sewer District number 2, we're transferring for the purchase of microfiltration chemicals. A total of $15,000 is being transferred. And Carmel Sewer District number 6, we're transferring $6,000 for sludge hauling. And Ann just handed out another budget revision that I wanted to add. This is just revising capital project costs in the highway resurfacing capital project. We're just transferring $42,500 from other lines in that capital district. Okay?
Okay, yep, great, thanks, Mary. Any questions, comments from Mary Ann regarding the budget revisions?
Sorry for the late notice
Oh,
on
that-
this one, but I just noticed it was over budget today,
Yep.
so.
That's fine, Mary Ann.
Okay.
Yep, good. All right,
Yeah,
so go on to number 3, Mary Ann. This is consider 2018 renewal agreement with Penflex for the Carmel Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2 LoSAP Program Length of Service Awards. Mary Ann?
yes, PenFlex is the company that we hire to administer the LoSAP program for Carmel Fire Protection District number 1 and Carmel Fire Protection District number 2. The cost to administer this program from PenFlex has not changed. It's $6,400. That was the same for 2017. That's going to be the same for 2018. And then in Fire District number 2, it's a total of $7,000 to administer the program. So I'm recommending that the board approve that for the 2018 year.
Okay. Any questions, comments for the comptroller regarding this item with Penflex? Susie, John? Nope. Good?
No?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Mary Ann. Thank you. Okay, number 4 is, I think Rich is next door in the planning meeting, so I'll take care of number 4. This is consider a bond reduction, number 7093- tax map, number 74.11-1-20. This is from Rose Trombetta to the town board, subject bond reduction, Ronan Property Group LLC, and the bond register number is 793. On November 29, 2017, the planning board passed a motion recommending a bond reduction for the above captioned property. Attached is a fully executed bond application form and town engineer Richard Franzetti's memo dated October 19, 2017. So the application is filled out and completed. It's signed off by Harold Gary, the planning board chairman, on 10/25/17. On 11/30/17, the town engineer, Rich Franzetti, signed off on it. Rich, I'm just handling the
I appreciate
the
it, thank you.
Ronan property one. So, in response to a request by the above applicant, a representative of the engineering department performed a field inspection on the referenced property on October 19th to evaluate the current status of the site construction for the purpose of determining whether a bond reduction was warranted. The results of our investigation are presented below. The original bond amount posted, which is currently being held, is $189,000. Based upon the engineering department's inspection, the following work is not completed. And the engineer lists traffic control signs, handicap parking signs, business sign, refuse enclosure, landscaping. The landscaping identified for the south and west sides of the property are not installed. It's a total of $5,100. Typically, the town of Carmel does not recommend that a bond be reduced to lower than 20% of the original bond amount. Therefore, a total of $151,200 is available for release, and we recommend that the bond amount be reduced to $37,800. Rich?
Thank you. This was
You
also,
satisfied with my?
it was very good. Thank you. It was also reviewed by Mike Carnazza. And, you know, there are some outstanding items that he needs to have addressed, which is another reason why the bond would only be reduced and not fully returned.
Okay. Rich, the Ronan property, this parcel is it on
Yeah,
Secor
that's what I
Road?
want.
It's the big building on Secor
building?
Road next to, I think it's called Mahopac Deli, so.
Oh, it's the big,
The big
which
new
one it
commercial
is.
building that was
Yes, sir.
constructed on that site? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I actually drove by it the other day. It doesn't look bad, you know, it's
Nobody's-
90% complete, I guess, so.
Yep.
There is some, you know, ancillary work that needs to be done, and you covered that with the bond holding, you know, some of the bond back for that work, so.
Now, Rich, just let me ask one question, I know it's more to Mike, but he's saying that there's 3 open permits on the property? Like,
Yep, I just opened it. Yes, I have it open. So it's commercial building, HVAC and propane tank.
all right, so to release, oh, it's just for the site work, yes, you guys you're right.
They'll have to close out the permits before they get CO or COs for those items.
Okay,
Site work is a site.
all right. The site work, I keep on forgetting the bond works, just for site work. Okay. Unless any property are not installed. All right, and you guys know what kind of landscaping they're gonna do? They showed,
They provided a landscaping plan. It's just they ran out of season, I guess, considering the weather outside, they're not gonna be able to plant. So, they planted some of the landscaping, it was in, but they didn't do all of it, so they didn't have time to complete it.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, then, any other questions or comments on this item? The bond reduction? Okay, there being none, Rich, you can go on to number 5. This is consider request to award a bid for cleaning services, Carmel Town Hall facilities.
Okay, just pulling that memo up. So bids were received for the reference contract on Wednesday, November 15th, and they were opened by the town clerk. This is 249 Town Hall Cleaning Services. 3 bids were received: Apple Maintenance, CTE or Reliable Cleaning System, and Tri-Green Maintenance. Based on past performance, this department recommended that the bid be awarded to Apple Services. However, Apple, by the way of letter dated December 5th, which was attached to the backup, has withdrawn itself from consideration. This department performed a review, a reference interview for the apparent lowest second bidder, which is CTE Inc., doing business as Reliable Cleaning System. We're going to just call it Reliable. We spoke to 3 different individuals, one from the county, one from Putnam County, one from Westchester County, and somebody from the town of Lewisboro. And they said that the work was from this company was good to excellent. Based on our review, we recommend that the contract be awarded to Reliable. The award would be for 2018 and 2019 with unilateral options on the part of the town for 2 one-year extension. So it would be really a 4-year contract if we were to use the unilateral. The award would be $38,411.50 for 2018, $39,415.50 for 2019. Both of these amounts include annual carpet cleaning and floor waxing. This budget was included in the 2018 town budget, and there are sufficient funds that exist for this work, and we request that Reliable be considered for this work.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rich. Is there any questions or comments from the board regarding the Town Hall Cleaning Services bid being awarded?
There, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was reading a letter from Apple, and I would like, because they requested the email addresses of the members of the board because they want to have an opportunity for an explanation. And I haven't heard from that as to why, so I would like to hear from them.
So I don't know if Ann or someone can give them my
I mean,
my email
it's
address?
online, but yeah, if you could, or we can call them based on this, this thing. They're asking for to be able to explain why they withdrew their bid. You know, keep in mind this, it's a 4-year or 3-year bid. It is $20,000 extra. That one bid, Apple, that's been doing it in 2017, now we're going to the new one because Apple withdrew their bid, and they want to explain to us why, and that would cost the town $20,000 over the next 3 years, so I kind of see your point that we should maybe discuss with them.
If they've officially withdrawn the bid, then they're no longer a bidder on your list. So you should take whatever action you're going to take with the cleaning contract. If that's awarded to the next low responsible bidder, then that's fine. And then I would deal with any issues you have with their explanation after you take the action on the contract. Follow what I'm saying?
I know I follow, and the sentence before is, please accept this letter as a formal written notice of the decision to withdraw, so I get what you're saying. One problem that I have is, you're right, first sentence, they're out, second sentence is they'd like to meet with the board. This is.
We don't meet with vendors before we award bids at all.
They're current, they're the current bidder.
Without this bid, which they're telling you they've withdrawn it, I don't recommend you meet with them without the new bid. Right, if you're going to take the action and award it to the next low responsible bidder, that's fine. You're free to reject the bids
I'm
and
with you.
rebid it also.
I guess also, this was dated December 5th, it's December 13th, and it's the first time I'm seeing that they wanted to have a sit-down with with board members, but that's fine. I totally get what you're saying, 100%.
I don't think they didn't indicate they wanted to have a sit-down with anyone.
Just a conversation,
They-
you're
they-
right.
just wanna
Just
have
to
a
pass along,
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, and they also.
Explanation, you're
Just
right.
for your information, they did foil some documents as well as part of this, so.
We should do that.
Just, I wanted to.
Absolutely.
Rich,
so
now,
I don't know
is
what-
the new company,
You're right, it's not a sit-down.
are they
You're right.
doing it at nighttime, daytime? What are they doing?
The idea would be that they are coming in after hours, so the
And they
same
understand that?
as last time, excuse me?
And they know that?
Yes, they do.
And
All
there's
the
going to be background
prospective.
checks?
The background checks will be given to us once the board approves. I think we're in the process of, identifying the various folks, but the board needs to approve reliable before we go down that and do that work.
Where is Carl Place, New York?
That's Long Island.
Long Island?
But they have offices.
I was gonna say-
They're local.
Oh, they have an office, a
They
local
have
office?
offices in Peekskill, I believe.
Yeah, and the three people that you contacted were in Putnam County, and close by also.
2 in Westchester.
2 in Westchester,
Westchester.
but close in Westchester, right over the border, so.
Suzie, I believe the satellite office where they work out of is in Westchester.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Okay, is there any further questions? Jonathan, did you have anything? Suzie and John, any further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, next item, number 6. This is also the town engineer. This consider accepting a proposal for emergency repair to Carmel Sewer District Number 2, Mechanic Street Pump Station.
So, the generator serving Mechanic Street Pump Station failed, and the engineering department retained MagPro Services to perform an evaluation of the unit. It was determined that the unit failed due to rodent infestation of the stator element of the generator. MagPro provided an estimate to repair the stator, which was detailed in the attachment of this memo. The repair was classified as an emergency because if there is a sewage flow at the pump, can occur at this pump station during a power outage while the generator was not in service, and a permanent exceedance can occur if an overflow occurs. And the town then would be in violation of its SPDES permit. The total amount of the repair was $7,640.13, and there are sufficient funds in the Carmel Sewer District to budget for this expense. The board should just note that the generator is approximately 20 years old with a runtime of about 625 hours, which by diesel generator standards is very low use. And if we were to have to purchase a new generator, it would cost in excess of $50,000. So the work has been performed, we're just requesting that MagPro's invoice be paid.
We're on the generator.
Great, thanks, Rich. Board members have any questions or comments for Rich? I'm happy, I'm actually pleased that they're going to be putting something in place in that generator to mitigate any future, hopefully mitigate any future rodent damage to the equipment.
Correct.
Is that what they're going to be putting in there, Rich, to prevent this in the
Yeah,
future? Is
they
that
have,
going to be
they
installed?
make noises all the time within their generator. I forget what they're called, though, off the top
Are
of
we
my
going to
head.
put those in our other generators?
Most of our generators do have them. We just need to go back through and just check them and make sure that the batteries haven't failed on them or that there's sufficient power to them.
Okay,
So.
all right, great. Thanks, Rich. Okay, number 7, consider request to extend contract with Severn Trent Services for operation and maintenance of the various Town of Carmel water and sewer districts.
So as the board is aware, the operations and maintenance contract between Town of Carmel and Severn Trent is set to expire on 12/31/2017. The engineering department, along with council, have been working with STES on revising the contract terms. These documents are still under review by both parties, and negotiations will not be completed prior to next week's work session for the board to vote on. We request that the board approve an extension of the existing contract conditions through March 31st, 2018, so as to have time to finalize the document and vet through the board, the contract. So, we did receive an email earlier today, or actually it was yesterday, but with a different language today, asking for it to be the 28th of February in 2018, which is pretty much doable. We'll have January to look through the contract and move forward with it. So,
That's why I was just going to ask. I thought that they weren't agreeing to a 3-month.
they came back and asked for a 2-month, so through February 28th.
But was there a cost difference?
No, they're gonna adhere to the existing contract terms, which would be what we've budgeted in January and February for this year, because the existing contract terms already had a price
Did
increase.
that in like legal terms before?
Going to be an extension of the existing contract.
Same
As
price.
is.
It's not going to be any increase or any changes substantively.
Right.
The contract would be contained within whatever is negotiated during that period and agreed to thereafter.
Okay. So can you have that signed by next week, by voting meeting next week?
You're going to have to authorize it next week if you're inclined to do it, and then it's going to have to be signed at least prior to the end of the year. But if you vote on it next week, that's not an issue.
'Cause my concern is that if we do it and they don't sign it, then what do we do come January 1st?
Did an RFQ for operators, correct?
Correct.
And 3 qualified operators have been listed as potentially providing services, including, what do they call them? That's not STES. What is it?
Inframark?
ST is called Inframark now.
Inframark.
Right.
Okay, and that's who you're negotiating with now. There are 2 other operators, companies that could provide operation services, potentially, if it doesn't work out. And that's what you'll have to look into in the event that you're unable to reach an agreement, or you're unable to reach an agreement on the extension.
Okay.
But they're lined up.
They forwarded the agreement, the extension agreement earlier today, and I forwarded it to Greg when.
I don't think I have an issue with the 2-month extension. What you do in the interim about, the long-term agreement is something the board's going to have to deal with in January.
Okay.
All right. Good. Any further questions for Rich on this item? John, you good?
No.
Okay. All right. Next item is number 8, John Fulchetti, PE Consulting Engineer. John is here to report on the status and provide an update on the water main condition in Carmel Water District Number 2. This is Oneida Ridge Road, Glenview Court, and some other streets up in that area. So I'm going to let John handle it from here. John, take it away.
So, under the terms of the facility plan, what we're gonna do is cut out approximately 10 coupons from 3 or 4 different areas of the district. And the purpose of doing that was to examine the integrity of the pipe wall to be sure that if we were going to undertake a lining program to improve the water quality, that the pipe would withstand the reaming process and would be adequate to continue to withstand the internal pressure from the distribution of the water lines. Of the 10 proposed coupons, 3 were executed. The other 7 couldn't be done because the valving arrangements are so poor that we couldn't cut the pipe without shutting down excessively large segments of the system. The coupons that we did collect were on Glenida Ridge, Tower Road, and West Collier Drive, still representative of the areas where the department has had most of its water complaints from. Based on the amount of sediment and tuberculation that we found in the coupons, right now, we don't believe that we can continue to flush those lines and provide adequate non-iron-bearing water for the duration of the design, bid, and construction process. So based on that, I think we need to consider, the board needs to consider other alternatives to resolving this issue in the short run.
Okay. All right, and John, could you just briefly explain what those alternatives are in the short run, what actions that the board can perhaps take in order to mitigate some of the issues that are going on with the water in that particular area?
Based on our original approach, what we were contemplating was a reaming and a lining process. In order to do that and to continue to deliver clean water to the residents, you have to have an at-grade temporary distribution system. This is the wrong time of year to attempt to distribute water at grade, today being a prime example, because everything will freeze up on you. The only alternative to that is to have the residents continue to run their water to keep the water moving through the pipes, but they're getting paid, they're getting charged for that. So it's either that or replace them if your intent is to resolve this question sooner rather than later.
Okay. All right, board, do you have any further questions for John on this item?
I was just wondering, is there something that we can start almost immediately to get the people the clean water up there and not have to wait?
You would have to start replacing water mains now, or as soon as you could come up with the money to replace them.
So can we do that? I mean, I would like to get them not brown water up there.
Yeah.
Sooner, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It's not only, I mean, it's not just brown water, right? I mean, we went through a very substantive flushing program, sampling and flushing program during the month of September at the conclusion of some of the summertime complaints. And the county health department actually conducted the sampling protocols both before and after the flushing exercises. And there are residents up there who have iron content that's 2.5 or 3 times what the approved state iron content is in their water. And some of them even have those numbers subsequent to filters that they've installed inside of their homes. So it's a significant issue.
All right, so if the board was to take immediate action to begin the process of installing new mains for that particular neighborhood where the residents are experiencing this discolored water, brown water in some cases, and we've all seen it. Residents have come to the meeting and they brought water from their taps in bottles of water that was just,
I mean, you tried the flush and it didn't work.
yeah.
So
We tried to flush the system on several different
get it fixed.
case times, and it just didn't work. So in order for us to move forward as the earliest possible time we can do that, to take action, to mitigate this, to have a contract to go in there and to begin to install the new mains. Greg, can I ask you explain to us and the public what the legal process would be in order to, for the board to declare, let's say, an emergency to move forward with this project?
Sure. So generally, a project of this magnitude would fall under the general municipal law for a public works project and would require competitive bidding under section 103 and 104 of the GML. The competitive bidding requirements are suspended, or they can be avoided if, in fact, there is an emergency. As a matter of fact, well, tonight you did one that doesn't meet the threshold, but with respect to the pump, you can go around either your procurement or the GML. In this model, you have the issue that the health department tested the water in several locations and not necessarily come up with a drinking water health emergency for water quality standards for consumable water. However, what you have in this context is certainly an aesthetic issue with the water and an excessive iron content, and people who are paying for the water as users who are getting water that is, at the very least, it's substandard, even if it's not necessarily an immediate health risk or emergency. So if the board were inclined to make a determination that they wanted to commence what will be replacement of certain mains, as opposed to the lining process based on what we've been able to learn about the integrity of the pipes, you would make that determination. First thing you have to do is set borrowing, okay? And we'd have to have an estimate, and I believe the estimate's been given generally for a maximum of 12 to 13,000 linear feet of pipe that would be considered to be replaced in the affected areas, and the estimate of construction being between $1.5 and $2 million. So what Mary Ann Maxwell and I have done is we've contacted our bond counsel, who has drafted an order calling a public hearing. Because it's a district borrowing, you'd have to have a public hearing on the borrowing first. So if you wish to consider getting the process started, next week you can have an order calling a public hearing. Public hearing would be probably at your organizational meeting, based on how the dates are, January 4th. And at that point, is it the 3rd? Okay, January 3rd. And at that point, you could make a determination that the project's in the public interest, and pass a resolution authorizing the funding, and then you can get pricing if you don't already have it, but you're not going to go out to a competitive bid in this model, because doing plans and specifications, going through the bid process, in what you're considering is going to, my guess would probably lead you to late spring or early summer by the time it was all done, and this would be done on a design-build basis if you're inclined to do it. So the first thing would be to get the borrowing in place, because the district certainly doesn't have the money of its own, in its own lines for that. So that'd be the first thing you did. And then if you go forward with it, you're going to have a contractor or contractors doing it, and the design done as it's being constructed. And my understanding is you're picking problem areas or certain areas and seeing if that resolves a problem. So maybe you don't replace 13,000 linear feet, maybe do some smaller number than that, but testing as the lines are replaced to see if the problem's alleviated partially or fully as you're going along.
So just to clarify in my own head, the bond amount that we would have the public hearing for would be to replace the full approximately 12,500 linear feet.
You would want to borrow the estimate for the maximum you'd have to replace, so you won't have to go back and reborrow.
But we're going to try to focus in on the areas of that where the water is coming, is the most brown.
I think engineer can speak to that. There's an area that was identified where there's brown water, and I think that 12 or 13,000 linear feet was the maximum linear footage that you would consider replacing.
So is that the section is the 12.5 the entire water district? Or is
No,
the
it's not
12.5 just that leg where the most houses have the brown water?
The aggregate linear footage of the affected areas in the estimate, yeah.
It represents the areas where we've received the majority of the complaints.
Correct.
Okay, so it is not, certainly not the entire system,
Got it.
or not the entire district, rather. I think there's something like 50 miles of pipe in that district.
50 mile, okay, got it.
Okay, good. 20's low. Right, so.
Okay. All right, well, based on what we heard tonight from the engineers and from council, I for one would be inclined to go ahead and have the public hearing for the borrowing of the money for this project.
Yeah.
And schedule that public hearing for January 3rd. Is the board okay with that? Is that something that the board is
Yes.
agreed? Yeah, I think we need to address this issue, and we should get the process started quickly.
Right, so next week, you can consider an order calling the public hearing. The engineering department's going to have to file some form of a map plan and report regarding the scope of the proposed improvements, the estimated costs and like, just like you do with any district or any public improvements project where there's borrowing. And you can adopt the order calling the public hearing, then you'll have that window within which time you can get your ducks in a row before the public hearing is held regarding who or whom is going to actually physically do the work. All right?
Okay. All right, so Greg, would you communicate with the town clerk to make sure that, she's not here tonight, obviously, to make sure that she's aware of what the board's intention is
She'll
for
get a-
noticing the public hearing? You did?
She'll get
Okay.
She'll get a copy of the order, the map plan and report, and its form will be filed, have to be filed with the clerk that time or prior to that time. But any issues between the offices will work out in the interim.
Okay. All right. So we'll need a resolution for next Tuesday on this?
In order
What's
calling
going-
the public hearing for
Okay.
January 3rd.
All right. Okay. Rich, would,
Wednesday, Tuesday?
Tuesday, yeah, we're meeting on Tuesday, the 19th. Tuesday the 19th next week. Tuesday the 19th. Rich, would you communicate with the, Mr. Fitzpatrick? And is he aware that the board was going to be discussing this tonight?
He was, he called the office yesterday afternoon and asked what was going on. I mentioned to him that this was going to be discussed at tonight's meeting, and that if the board was going to move on it, it would be voted on next week. I'll report back. I told him I'd report back to him tomorrow.
Good.
You know, he said he would have no problem calling me, so, you know, if I don't get to him, he will call me, but I certainly will be calling him tomorrow.
Okay, and if you have the names and contact information for the other residents that you've been receiving calls from, I don't know how many there are, Rich, but if you can reach out to them and just let them know, or maybe Mr. Fitzpatrick can if it's his neighbors.
I will reach out to the
if you
folks
could
that
try
I
to
have
communicate
contact
with them.
info for.
Because I think it's important that they're aware of what the board's actions are and what our intentions are as far as
You got it.
dealing with this issue, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Rich. All right. All right, that completes the work session agenda items for this evening. If there's anyone here, any members of the public, that would like to come up and address the board on any of the agenda items that we covered this evening, come on up at this time. Mike?
Hi, good evening. On number 5, you're not planning on doing anything with that next week, are you? That's going to stay over till January, the cleaning services for Town Hall?
To award the bid or,
Right.
or to,
Are we locking in anybody before the first of the year on the cleaning services for Town Hall?
This was scheduled to be on next week.
Yeah, the contract expires at the end of this month, so we'll have to do something.
similar to Severn Trent?
Severn Trent asked for a 60-day extension.
Yeah.
I would humbly request that you give them a 60-day extension also, because I have several questions that I was going to bring to the board in January about our full-time maintenance man and the bids and the condition of Town Hall.
Well, Apple's
Yeah, the only thing is
contract is-
Apple withdrew their bid, and could we offer Apple a 60-day extension if Apple withdrew their bid? That I don't know.
What you'd have to do in that context is if you're not going to, Apple's withdrawing their bid, okay? You're going to have to reject the bids and rebid it, okay? And if Apple would stay on for the interim period, and if they want to be a bidder on the new bid, they can be, and they don't have to, all right? But what's happened here is you have a set of bids. You're going to act on it one way or the other. If Apple wants to extend for some 1 or 2 month period, that's fine, but you have to address what you're doing with the bids.
So you're saying the person that is leaving the end of December, you
Right.
would have anybody?
And they withdrew their bid for 18.
The contract you're awarding is for how long?
It's 2 and 2 1s, right?
There was
3 years?
3 years.
I thought this
2
said
and
3
2
years.
1-year
Two,
extensions. Up to 4, but 2 initial.
2 and 2 ones.
I'd like to see that contract, with all due respect, before the end of the year.
Sure.
I took a tour of Town Hall. Besides my knowledge of Town Hall, I took a behind-the-scenes tour with some building department heads and the police department, and I'm glad who's doing it now is not coming back, but I'd like to see the contract on who's coming in. And I'd like the question answered on why the overlapping services of the staff that we have now. So if I could please get
Sure.
that as soon as possible,
We'll
I'd
get you a
appreciate
copy of that tomorrow. Yeah.
On the 60-day, Severn Trent is a 60-day extension. Nothing's being done with them till end of February.
It's an extension. I think through February, 60 days, yeah.
And why, we've done this for the last couple of years, I believe, but why aren't we meeting on the regular Wednesday night next week?
This is new to me.
I don't know.
It was requested by at least 1 or 2 board members to meet on Tuesday, on the 19th, as opposed to the 20th.
I
And
just,
that was honored, so, The board that asked.
Experience of
I know, I-
standing up here over the last 25, 30 years is when you move a meeting date on a one-week notice, and the town is used to a Wednesday night, and all of a sudden it's on a Tuesday night, things pop up on that Tuesday night that are very important. And the majority of the people don't see it. I mean, what's the reason for moving it?
We could
I mean,
change.
if there's a valid reason, I understand, but
No, it was just, it was requested, and it was at a meeting that a board member, at least one or maybe two board members, had requested that if we can move the meeting to the 19th, they would
is
appreciate it.
there anything substantial that's going to be on the 19th?
No.
Meeting that's going to be asked to be voted on? I understand that. The question is there anything substantial that's going to be on the Tuesday night meeting that's going to be voted on?
No,
Tonight's agenda.
No, it's
Tonight's
tonight's agenda.
agenda
It's-
would go to
Tonight's
next
agenda.
I know.
Tuesday.
I've seen things put on agendas that weren't on the previous agenda.
Yeah, no, whatever we,
yeah, because not all agenda items are mentioned in work sessions,
Right.
so
Okay.
So in answer
that's
to
a
your
valid
question,
point.
there possibility, could be, yes.
Thank you.
okay, thanks, Mike. All right, is there anyone else that would like to come up on agenda items that we covered this evening? Come on up at this time. If not, we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to move on to the new business open forum portion of the meeting, where you can come up and address the town board, comment to the board with respect to any town-related business or matters. Come on up at this time. Okay, all right, there being none, does the board have any announcements they'd like to make?
Yeah, I just want to mention, I want to thank the fire departments for doing the Santa Claus candy cane run, because on Facebook, it was adorable. Everybody was putting their videos on it
Yeah.
and their pictures. And this is a tradition which makes us proud to be living here in Carmel.
Yeah.
And I want to thank the firemen and fire ladies in all of the fire districts here in Mapac and Carmel.
Yeah, thanks, Susie, and it was a horrible day for them, too. 'cause
It was, but the kids,
the kids
they,
loved it,
oh my
yeah.
God, they just absolutely loved
Yeah.
it.
I
It
think-
starts the season off right.
I think between the three departments, they handed out about 3,000 candy canes, between 3,000 and 4,000 candy
Yeah,
canes. Yeah, it was
I
great.
just think it's awesome, and I hope they never get rid of it.
They didn't come down, Jackson.
No.
Nobody comes down.
They wouldn't have, no. Okay, so that's all we have for tonight, but we do have executive session. It's not on your agenda, but one personnel item that we have to discuss tonight is a contractual matter, and the board needs to meet tonight to discuss it. And what I'd like to do is, we have Councilman-elect Mike Borelli here with us this evening. Mike, I'd like to invite you in to executive session to join us tonight, if you would, please.
Yeah, we need two motions. We need a motion to go in executive session, and then we need a motion to invite Mr. Borelli in.
Can you do them?
So moved.
Yes, okay.
So moved.
What John said.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you here next Tuesday on December 19th for a town board voting meeting.
Did you say Tuesday?
Yeah, I did, didn't I? What are we doing? It is.